My phone on vibrate. We good.
And good evening to everyone. Welcome to Sound Mind. My name is Dr. Reggie Hudson, and of course, we have our distinguished residents of the show. I wouldn't say host,
Your resident.
Reverend, Reverend Tiffany, Deacon LeBeau. Pastor Val's not with us tonight, but we're so glad to have you with us. And tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about one that I think is very interesting, and I think it will definitely go beyond this broadcast and has already been in many conversations. It's talking about and emotional the mental and emotional effects of males and females commingling in the same sport. And also, a sub to that is, especially with young people, is it really good to give everyone a trophy just because they participated? So let me just further address this a little bit. Now you see in the on the college levels, they're talking a lot now. You have women in college that are actually playing on men college teams as kickers right now, and you're seeing it starting to happen down at the t-ball level, little league level, where boys and girls are playing in the same sport, and then you're talking about the fact too is on another level, if children play in a particular sport,
Mhm.
should those who excel in terms of winning differentiate a little bit from those who did not? And I know that has shifted over the years where, now everybody gets a trophy and it's about more of a kumbaya moment than it is about, talking about what it means to play together as a team, how to set goals
Yeah.
to win, how do you adjust if you should lose. I mean, losing is not a bad word, just as long as you don't become a loser. And of course, Reverend Tiff, Deacon LeBeau, what do you think about this or is it something that you were familiar with? And if you have been, what are your thoughts on it?
Go ahead, Deacon LaBelle.
Okay. All right. Well, very interesting topic. I'm just reflecting back to when my kids were young and when I grew up. I think that whole model of changing of making everybody feel good and accepted sort of happened when they were small. Everybody got an award. I have, I won't even say mixed feelings about. I think like everybody should get an award for participation. You know, you get things like that. But in terms of actual skill and ability, those who put the hard work in and excel, to me, deserve to have the honor to have that award given to them. It doesn't displace the 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 efforts of the other people or the other students or the children, but it may even give that child something to strive for.
Yeah.
I almost and I back up. I always tell my kids, if you've done your best and you get a C in class, then congratulations. So
Mhm.
there's natural skills and abilities in everything, but there's room for improvement. So having that goal to head for may actually be a motivator for some kids in sports and things like that. So
hmm
um
hmm
so
Okay.
yeah.
As it relates to like differentiating like male versus female, especially as it
Mhm.
relates to sports, is not every boy, for example, wants to do sports or excels at sports, right? And then you
Right.
have some girls that'll kick their butt on the track, and can shoot better hoops than them, um, and I think it should be based on ability, not on gender. I
Mhm.
don't. I'm not really one to speak too much as it relates to
Mhm.
sports. It's not my forte, you
Right.
know. Yeah, I'm not good at it.
Not mine either.
I know very little
Okay.
about sports. I don't, but I do believe that
Yeah.
if a child is excelling in a certain area, regardless of whether it's a young man or a young woman, that they should be noticed for their accomplishment and not um, meant to blend in,
Hmm.
just because we want to make everybody else comfortable and everybody else's children or
Mhm.
a child comfortable, that there's another child that is quote unquote outperforming them,
Right.
and I agree with Deacon LeBou, or give them something to strive for. Like, wow, this child got a scholarship for doing this.
Right.
And even if I'm not good at a sport, what am I good at that I can excel in that makes me stand out? And it should ignite. I know when I was younger, it ignited a different type of passion. Maybe I'm not an athlete, because I definitely am not. But what am I good at? If
You
I'm the
start
best
tonight.
flower arranger, the best cook, the best with children, the
Right.
best, with language arts and reading and writing, and I can do that well, then
Yeah.
work what you're good at.
Okay.
And
I think. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You
I was
can.
saying, you said something earlier about, it's, when you lose, it doesn't make you a loser.
Yeah.
And I think there are really good lessons in that, because the same thing applies to when you win. When you win, sometimes people, get a little puffed up and,
Mhm.
get a little full of themselves. So winning and learning how to handle those accomplishments, to me, is just as important as
Mm-hmm.
so-called losing, and learning how to handle that as well, because that you have to be able to juggle the 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 esteem that comes with that, and stay humble, which is a learning lesson, and
Mhm.
then learn when you're functioning at, say, number one, how to handle that as well. So I think there are lessons on both ends of that ruler. I do.
Mhm.
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 Okay. Yeah. That's great. And this is what this conversation really stirs up, because there are many categories within the category. And just let me just say, for one, is like now the WNBA, and I am so excited for them. They are finally getting the notoriety. Now
Mhm.
the next thing is for them to get the money.
Yeah.
And there's already, and I've heard talk this week that they're already talking to the NBA when they get their collective bargaining agreement that they give with all the television rights, that they need to put an excessive amount of money into that league. They do some now, because this year, for the first time, the WNBA championship ticket costs more. Not WNBA, in the college, the NCAA. Their
Mhm.
ticket costs more than the men's. They were paying like $2,000 a seat in some places,
Wow.
and that was higher than the men. First time ever. So it's
Right.
showing you, the growth, and
Yeah.
the growth, and it's just such a beautiful thing. So I'm all for it, and I support that 10,000%. I was just
Mhm.
making an analogy, because now the other thing is, there's been a lot of talk about women playing football, and some more are. Now they have a professional women's hockey league that started this year. And it
Wow.
was very exciting. But what would you think about a woman playing professional football and running into, well, just say, I don't know, I'm not gonna put a height or anything like that, but she runs into somebody that's 6'8", 320 pounds, and can run like a 4.40.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now, political correctness plays into this in some cases, and other things play into. I know someone going to say, "Well, he's a showbiz." No, I'm just trying to share something from a perspective of, just like for men, everything is not.
Mhm.
They would be good at in that area, or a physicality comes into play.
Mhm.
That would that sport right there. The NFL is so dangerous.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's dangerous for the men.
It's dangerous.
Mhm.
So and then when I've said that before, I say, well, if a woman's good enough, why can't she play? If you just look at the physical disproportions, that that leads to some problems. They're
Mhm.
doing it now. Somebody asked me recently, well, you have women referees. There's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because they got the same skill as the male referees. You got to
Mhm.
be in shape. You got to know the game. You got to be able to run up and down the sideline. It's
Mhm.
not the difference of being hit going 30 miles an hour,
Mhm.
and so forth and so on. The even the little leagues now, I know they're combining t-ball.
Mhm.
You know, I raised a
Mhm.
question.
Mhm. Mhm.
World War II, when most of the men were over fighting the war, Major League Baseball stopped.
Mhm.
And you might have seen that famous movie, A League of Our Own.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a chance to go up to Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame, and they have a whole wing over there for them. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
And women's had a professional women's baseball league that excelled. I mean, it was the talk of the country.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, when the men came back,
Mhm.
back in the 40s, the league shut down, which it should not have. Matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
one gentleman wanted to buy it and
Mhm.
keep it going, but politics is in everything.
Right. Right.
So I think that was a tremendous, tremendous thing. We're seeing areas where things are striving. So the emotional and mental aspect of it is, um, if if I'm playing with playing football like I did, and I run into a woman, because I mean, I had the privilege to play with several people
Mhm.
that went to the NFL. That I could have gone, but they didn't want me.
Mhm.
And, and I mean, and I just had this just had this conversation. We were trained
Mhm.
to hurt people.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, it
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm. Well, I'm
you
glad
know
you
what
brought the mental health, mental piece into it, because a
I'm saying?
lot of it has to do with, how do we feel about ourselves? How do we feel what we're capable of doing? What are those internal messages that we give ourselves, whether it be on the ball field or anywhere else? If I'm
Hmm.
5'9" and 90 pounds, and I think I can run out there with a linebacker, guess what? I will give it my best shot, because I mentally I think that's where I am. I think we all want our children to have that mental capability, and I think we all spend time telling our kids and people, you can do anything you put your mind to, put anything. Now,
Hmm.
take that first hit. Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
might change your mind real quick.
I think the God's honest truth. We had a guy who was a team manager for about a year or so, and he always said, "I want to join the team. I want to." So finally, we said, "Okay, next season." The coach let him put your uniform on, brought him out, and we did one drill, and they hit him. He took his helmet off, walked back, and went back and got his water bucket because
I'm done.
mentally he wasn't there.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Mentally wasn't there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I'm just really talking about the sports aspect. I'm not talking about any other aspect because
Right.
um,
But
Right.
women
I
don't.
understand,
Mhm.
Pastor, because here's the mental processing part of it too. Men and women are
Mhm.
still different, regardless of whether we want to admit it or not. In physical, muscle development, all that stuff is different.
That's what I'm
Height,
talking about. Hmm.
height and stuff like that. And also, if you're going to, and I don't know this, I have no idea. So somebody could be listening to this and be like, Tiffany, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. But here's the thing. I don't know what the rules are, right? So but I'm sure that if a woman is to go into playing football, for example, in a predominantly male arena,
Hmm.
that you can't go into it with the same expectations, because we have other things that we deal with physically. What
Yeah.
happens if
Yeah.
I'm throwing up because I'm on my period? What happens if I find out I'm pregnant? How does that affect the policies of the game? Things that they
Hmm.
may not have in place for men. Do men that play football go on maternity leave? Do they have those things in their contract? Things that
Yes, they do now.
we
Believe it or not.
things that I'm not sure, but those are things
Yeah.
that I know a woman that goes into play
Hmm.
sports. What happens if I get an injury to a vital,
Mhm.
and I can no longer
Hmm.
have children, or like how are the I don't know, how are the
I
policies
agree.
and things in
Yeah.
place that make us have to process going into those things differently? Or do we
Right.
have to accept that if I'm going to play hockey, if I'm going to play these things, and I'm going to end up possibly getting injured, just like
Hmm.
men do when they go into those types of sports, if I could possibly lose a tooth, get, whatever, is that I go into it with the
Mhm.
understanding that this is what I'm passionate about. This is the
Mhm.
Hmm.
sacrifice I'm making. This is what I
Mhm.
signed up for. And I
Mhm.
go into it knowing that it may mean delaying having children. It may mean that I won't be home during these times. It may mean that I have to, you know, take care of these types of things physically. But women do it all the time. There's women boxers, there's women, you know, that have to take these things, gymnasts who I'm sure have physicians and physical therapists and all those things that go through the risk with them. So if you're going to do sports,
Yeah.
You know what? And going back, I see Robin Hester said, yes, it's physicality definitely comes into play. And I physicality is definitely sort of a baseline, although people come in all shape sizes and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, but I think someone who enter that arena probably already has a mindset of already there, you know, what I'm willing to sacrifice, what I have to take on, and what I'm willing to do to make myself a team player or make myself appropriate for the sport that I chose. You know, it's a really interesting subject to me because I talked to my son that's in the Navy and I'm like, are there girls on your boat? He says, yes. I'm like, well, women, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine. But it's a mindset. It's a mindset that this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it, you know, and I think it starts there because you know, I was watching the Michael Jordan thing yesterday, about the sneakers and everything else, and it was phenomenal to me. Not only his mindset, but his mother's mindset. And listen, he will make the shoes. The shoes won't make him. So it's that same thing of how do we get our minds to that point where you are that confident? Where you go, look, I may be 90 pounds, but I'm gonna take that 300-pound linebacker. You know, I can
I'm gonna tell you something. And that mindset is true. I mean, like Michael's mother, so forth and so on. But I still think as Rob said before, agree with me in the sense that even with the mindset, the physicality. The physicality. Okay. I suffered a concussion and had temporary amnesia for 3 days. Okay. And I was in the best shape of my life. So I'm just saying, or not to hurt somebody, you end up hurting yourself.
Try not to hurt somebody.
Right. Now, here's the thing. You know, I'll be at the forefront that the young girls, the young ladies, young women, especially in college, they should get the same advertisements as the men do. I'm talking about money wise. Money wise, same NIL deals, same ones. You know, and I'm talking about having the same opportunities if they're not even playing to operate in other areas of the sport. You know, aspire to be a team owner, aspire to be a general manager, aspire to be there are many multifaceted components. You know what I'm saying? So I think to solve one situation, you got to build another one. And that's why I say this WNBA league now. I think that, you know, it's out there now. Next year is going to be great. I went to look up tickets for a Liberty game.
Not getting
and it's like phenomenal.
Not getting them.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just you know, from a physicality, things of that nature. Now back to the standpoint of how you reward. You know, and y'all know things have changed so much, and and I mean, I had to. Deacon LeBoux, you said it so well. Sometimes, if you fail at something, you learn from it. The first time I ever went out to play Pop Warner football, I got cut from the team, and I had to go to school the next day and the whole year and see all the other friends of mine who were playing every week, and I wasn't. And that day I made my mind. I said, I will never get from a team again. And it never happened. But there's something about, and we had a coach, you know, other team won the championship, and the coach says, no, sit down.
Right.
Watch them celebrate.
Wow.
How do you feel?
So
now, you know what I'm saying? Remember this feeling, so because next year you want to be there.
Right. So how do we apply this mindset to our spiritual, Maya just put it up there. How do we apply this mindset to our spiritual life and our spiritual walk?
I want to say that, I think there will always be like even when we're talking about women in sports and things like that, there's always going to be bias, right? Like people that don't believe you should be where you're trying to get to, and individuals that try to hold you back. I think it's the same when you are personally challenged by
Yeah.
obstacles, right? Where you see someone succeeding in areas you wish you could succeed in, or that are getting accolades or rewards or certificates for things that you couldn't quite reach. But those things should motivate us, right, and not hold us back. I always say that failure should be a ladder upward, not a ditch downward, right? We got to find
Mhm.
what is the lesson in this for me. What is it that I need to do to walk uprightly when I fall, right? And I think that the Lord gives us a remedy for that. Like, first, we have hope in Him, that even when we
Mhm.
have obstacles, that He gives us the strength that we need to keep going, right?
Right.
So we have strength in our relationship with the Lord, but also the Lord builds our character when we go through obstacles. You know, He gives us direction, and He says that the steps of a good man are ordered by Him, right? So we know that as long as we're following the Lord, that no matter what obstacles are in our way, there's more that can be done.
Right.
Really quick example, like my son is on the autism spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Okay.
very easy to count him out, right? It's very easy because of his language delays, because he
Mhm.
struggles socially, to assume you know where he's going. But he
Right.
never ceases to amaze me with how much he's actually getting.
Mm-hmm.
And prayer works, right? When you cover
Absolutely.
your children in
Yeah.
prayer, and you don't quite know, Lord, what are you going to do with my son? Because he has disabilities, right? But my mom said, Julian, do you know about the presidents? He was like, oh, yeah, I know the presidents. And he said, such and such, such and such, such and such. And we sat there and with our mouths at the park dropped with
Yep.
watching him list
Wow.
out in order every
Wow.
president that's ever ran, and names, middle names, dates,
Wow.
everything. And so you'd be
Wow.
surprised what people have in them.
Wow.
And we
Mhm.
have to trust
Yeah.
ourselves, right? Like Deacon LaBoo, you said, build confidence
Mhm.
and know what it is that you're capable of. Sorry, I got on the soapbox for a minute.
No,
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 no, no.
that
That
was,
was necessary.
that was perfect. That was
Necessary.
perfect. You know, I think we all have to be mindful, that God gives all gifts in different areas in different ways. The
Yeah.
Bible talks about not everybody can be a hand, not everybody can be a foot, not everybody can be a head. Now everybody's got a purpose for something, and
Mm-hmm.
and and I think what happens, we get lost when we start to look at someone else's gift and say, "Boy, I wish I had that," instead of really taking time to figure, what is my gift? What is God asking and telling me what
Mhm.
to? What am I here for? I mean, that whole big that what is my purpose thing? But
Yeah.
what is my gift? And it's particularly challenging when your gift is unusual.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Julian's gift is unusual.
Mhm.
It's unusual. His gifts are there, but they may not fit into the pattern of what people see and feel every day. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't negate his gifts. It's just a way of trying to say, okay, this is just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
as people, as Christians, it's sometimes difficult to not overlook that. Or I'm sorry,
Yes.
we want to overlook that because it doesn't look like mine. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look like what it should do. But God has created us all uniquely. And
Mhm.
we fearfully, wonderfully, all that. But we are all unique in our gifts and talents. Mine is not like yours, yours is not like mine. And we have to learn to celebrate that, whether it be in sports, whether it be in church, whether it be in
Right.
ministry. I may not be a person who can speak in public, but I'm a really good administrator.
That's right.
You might write the material for the person who's speaking in public.
Yeah. That's
Right.
the whole problem with the giving everybody a reward, right? Is
Yeah.
because you're trying to make them feel good about the fact that they participate in the same thing as this other person who excel. But then you don't get them to really see, like, well, what am I good at?
Right.
I
Mhm.
couldn't do that, but maybe if I think hard enough, I'll find something that I'm really good at, something that
Yes.
I can build on and grow in.
Yes.
It should challenge us to think a little bit
Mhm.
more
Yep.
introspectively, right? Like,
Yep.
okay, I can't run, but I can do this well. Oh,
Yep.
there's a Patricia.
Hmm.
Also, when you identify
Mhm.
what God's purpose is for your life, you make up your mind to go through the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And she is so right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe God birthed us with three areas: potential, ability,
Yeah.
giftings and talent,
Mm-hmm.
purpose. That's his assignment for our life. For I know my thoughts
Yeah.
and then promise.
Yeah.
Promise that
Yeah.
when you follow his word, will, and way and apply yourself
Yeah.
Right.
and believe and do not doubt,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
then you operate in that. And this is why the spiritual, from the question before, I think is so important because it's so important because it sets you for the whole mindset of life depending on whatever area you're in.
Yeah.
And
Right.
one of the things is you have a lot of young people now with the between school being out over the summer, college out over the summer, things like that. Do we really have structured things that they can participate in to continue to
Yeah.
strengthen them mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, and socially?
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
You
Mhm.
know, so I agree with Patricia. That purpose,
Yeah.
that
And-
purpose, and that
and you're
purpose starts with confidence.
absolutely, Pastor. And you're talking like, our kids are all going to be out during the summer, and some of them are going to be doing camps, some STEAM camps, some Christian camps, and all those types of things, which are great.
Hmm.
But I think that it really is important that we don't miss the importance of each child's individual gifts, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
setting things aside that are, yes, they're getting their social needs met, but one of the things that I think is important for us to do as a body of Christ, as parents, is to make sure
Hmm.
that we're giving them time to build things that they're specifically good at,
Yeah.
right? And that they are, whether they're good with art, whether they are good administrative, give them a job to do, right? Even
Hmm.
at a young age, to help them cultivate those things that they don't always get a chance to do in school, so they are sitting at a desk for hours a
Hmm.
day. They're instructed on what to do. And then, like myself and many of us who went off to college, is by the time we got to college, we were trying to figure out who we were. And I
You're
feel like
right.
that should have been something by this point I always knew.
Right.
Right?
Wow.
We're trying to figure out who am I, and
Right.
yeah, I'm lost. I'm so busy. I spent the last 18 years with somebody else telling me what to
Yep.
do.
Yep.
And
Yep.
now I have no idea what to do, and you feel like you're struggling for
Yep.
confidence at that point,
Yep.
and
Yep.
Mm.
and that comes too slow for many adults with
Yeah.
identifying purpose. And I feel like had we had those conversations cultivated at a younger age, we wouldn't be grown folks in our 50s, 60s still trying to figure out what we were meant to do and
Yeah.
why we're here.
You're
Yep.
so right. So,
Yep.
and now time is about to run, and now coming to Deacon LeBeau. This we definitely don't have the time for this part of this discussion, but Reverend Tip, you kind of brought it up. What happens when parents get in the way of their children's purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, that's a whole nother section.
Yeah. Write that down for the next one.
That's part two.
Yeah, we got to come in, Deacon LeBeau.
No, I was saying that's a whole nother, because that can be major, because what happens is sometimes I think we want our children to live out our dreams.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
didn't happen for me, so I'm gonna make sure it happens in your life, which actually does not give the child the fair opportunity to develop their gifts, their talents, and exactly in the way that they are meant to do it. But
Mhm.
so when you have parents who just say, do this, and now it's a difference between identifying a child's natural talents and pushing them in that direction.
Yeah.
Right.
But trying to make them live your dreams can be really and probably make the child miserable. Make
Yeah.
the
It
child,
will.
it will. And so
Reverend Tiffany.
it's like, and it's like those things going back to the spirit thing and all that.
Mhm.
What God has a place for you,
Yeah.
it's a place of comfort, and you go, this is
Yeah.
what that feels like, you know what?
Mhm.
But when we constantly go against that grain and say, okay, I'm not going to do it, God, not going to do it, and you finally bump your head one time too many, and go, okay, God, I'll do it. So I think it goes back to, and God is the ultimate parent. God gives us the opportunity and that freedom to figure this stuff out, but guides us all along in our natural talents. So.
Mm-hmm. And you're
Reverend
so right.
Tiffany.
We get in our way
Oh,
sometimes.
we're a minute over.
Yeah,
Are
yeah. I think that Reverend Tiffany. Yeah, I still got 30 seconds, but Reverend Tiffany, I would like you to get the last word on this.
No, I was just gonna say you're so right that we sometimes we structure our families so much that we stunt their growth, and we don't allow for creativity and
Yeah.
flexibility, and we have a way that we like things done. but then we stunt people's ability to be autonomous and to learn. And sometimes you learn by failure, by trial and error, by making mistakes, by not getting rewarded for
Yep.
things you haven't done.
Yep.
But like giving you something to strive for. And I hope we continue the conversation because it's great.
This is one that I hope everybody will take away from it and contribute to it. Certainly, thank everyone for being a part of it, and certainly those who sent questions in. And we just want you to join us every second Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock on SoundMind. And of course, if you have your emails, my goodness, and I know the email thing, but right now it just it flushes right out. Go to Bethany or
Social at gotobethany.com.
there you go. There you go. You're always bailing me out.
Do it.
But once again, look forward to seeing everybody. Be blessed. Take time out to embrace, love, and encourage your children, and know that you make a difference in their life. Have a blessed evening.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Mhm.